This says, I watched the footage of the race crime that split America. What I saw shocked me, and this is how it could flip the case, by Marianne Martinez. It was just after 10 a.m. on April 2nd during what should have been a typical high school track meet at David Kuykendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. Students were warming up and stretching, patiently waiting for the competition to resume after a pause due to heavy rain. Spectators and some students took cover under a tent in the bleachers of Memorial High School. The atmosphere was calm and uneventful, until it suddenly turned to bloodshed. In a matter of seconds, then 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony fatally stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, transforming a rain delay into a crime scene. On Monday, the Daily Mail became one of only 2 news organizations granted access to surveillance footage of the deadly incident, a killing that shocked the nation and ignited debates about race, privilege, and the criminal justice system. The 40-minute surveillance video recorded from a stationary camera on the opposite side of the football field captures the 10 minutes leading up to the attack and the desperate efforts by Metcalf's twin brother and others to save his life before paramedics arrived. Metcalf, a student at Memorial High School, was stabbed after confronting Anthony, who attended Centennial High School, about sitting under the tent of a team he was not affiliated with, according to a police and statement made by Metcalf's father after the killing. Anthony has admitted to the stabbing, but maintains he acted in self-defense, claiming the truth will come out. Initially, Frisco police said an altercation between the teens led to the violent encounter. However, the footage reviewed by the Daily Mail at the Frisco Independent School District's headquarters shows no obvious physical confrontation between the two prior to the stabbing. The Daily Mail did not detect anything that indicated chaos was about to ensue. Strict guidelines were enforced for viewing the footage. Reporters were only permitted to take handwritten notes and were barred from capturing or republishing stills or clips. The district allowed the limited release because the students' identities are not easily discernible in the video. Captured by a high-angle camera positioned near the press box and typically used for football broadcasts, the footage shows the tent at the top of the screen. Students are seen idly beneath it, waiting for the competition to start. So this is really weird that there were super strict guidelines for viewing the footage, and I think these strict guidelines also reinforce the fact that everything in this footage completely destroys the narrative that they have been trying to paint. And yeah, the truth will come out, but they will have already gotten away with a payday, so, you know. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, it becomes apparent that the moment has happened when an armed Anthony attacked Metcalf. The stabbing itself is not visible on camera, but the reaction is immediate. Students are seen fleeing from under the tent. While police later confirmed Anthony fled the scene, he cannot be clearly identified in the footage. On this part, though, I'm sure that even, like, with all of this information from the journalists, and if we get the footage released to us eventually, since the stabbing itself is not visible on camera, I'm sure they're going to try and use that as a, like, well, we can't see it, so we don't know if it was in self-defense or not. He literally admitted it to the cops as he was hauled away. There's no way he's not getting prison time. He admitted it to the cops, and then he tried, like, asking questions about, like, self-defense, and then claimed it was in self-defense. You were able to see the video, and what you saw shocked me. It turns out that all the people I've been calling racist were right about what happened. Imagine! Fucking imagine. Moments later, at least 2 people can be seen carrying an injured Metcalf down the bleachers to a walkway at the bottom of the seating area. More individuals, including some adults, are seen rushing to his side to help. As rain begins to fall again, Metcalf is visibly cradled in the arms of his twin brother, Hunter, bleeding heavily as they await emergency medical services. Metcalf's father recounted how his sons were together in a press interview after the attack. It took 10 minutes for the ambulance to arrive after the stabbing.
Spicy cat raid. What the hell is this spicy cat raid?
Well, Ludwig World Order, thank you for raid. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, Raiders. Paramedics are seen entering a gate near the end zone and driving to the 50-yard line. As they took the stretcher out of the back of the vehicle, they seemed to realize that they needed to take another route to reach the gravely wounded Metcalf. So they walked toward the end zone and through another entrance to the bleachers. The medics eventually reached Metcalf, however, any treatment administered is obscured by the ambulance. Police are also seen covering the area near the tent with a blue tarp, presumably to preserve evidence in the pouring rain. Representatives from Frisco Police Department didn't immediately reply to the Daily Mail's request for comment. The ambulance with Metcalf inside did not leave the stadium until 10:27 a.m., nearly half an hour after the stabbing. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police can be seen investigating under the tent in the final few minutes of the video before it ends. More pictures? While other video angles may exist, the surveillance reviewed appears to challenge the self-defense claim, offering little visible evidence that Anthony was in immediate danger before the attack. Anthony's attorney, Mike Brown, that's interesting, did not immediately respond to the Daily Mail's request for comment. Though he was 17 at the time, Anthony is being charged as an adult with first-degree murder. He has since turned 18 and was permitted to graduate despite the charges against him, which is still crazy that he was even permitted that, to be completely fucking honest. Anthony remains under house arrest at a secret location after persuading a judge that his safety was at risk following threats he received while living in a gated community. Again, another crazy dystopian sentence. Why was he allowed house arrest after literally committing murder? He spent nearly 2 weeks in jail, not enough, before a judge agreed to reduce his bond, allowing him to await trial under house arrest. However, the murder suspect enjoys a significant amount of support across the country. Online donations for Anthony have surpassed $535,000, which his family says will be used for his legal defense as well as daily expenses. As well as daily expenses, eh? A GoFundMe for Metcalf has raised slightly more at $560,000. That is literally a crime that the victim of murder has raised barely $30,000 more than fucking the murderer, dude. That is insane. Anthony's currently awaiting formal indictment by a Collin County grand jury. Representatives for Frisco ISD and the local police have not replied to the Daily Mail's request for comment. And I feel like I want to get more angry, so I'm gonna click on this article here. Fucker living like a king until he goes away forever. It's really grotesque. It's really grotesque, in my opinion. It's really sad. Why are we giving murderers money? And this is why, and again, my name had been absolutely dragged through the mud for saying this, but this is why I said, like, nobody really gives a shit about Shiloh Hendricks raising money after saying the N-word, when a guy who literally murdered another teenager is raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. People are fed up. People are fatigued. They are tired of this two-tier justice system. Assuming he will go away forever, you bet he won't. Yeah, and it's like, for some reason, weird people were like, oh, Kirsche is defending calling children the N-word, and it's like, no, I literally said in the clip, literally said it's not okay to say that to children. But I understand why it happened and how we got to this point. Kirsche saying the N-word is literally worse than murder. Apparently, man. Like, we are in a crazy clown world. Several updates regarding the Karmelo Anthony case, FISD emails, and the Anthony family moving out of state. I don't know how trustworthy Sarah Fields is. I think I've read a couple of her things on stream before, but again, like, I don't know this person. I don't know who they are, and it's on Twitter, so, you know, grain of salt and all. Several weeks ago, her being Sarah, requested emails between staff members that included names such as Karmelo Anthony, Drew Anthony, and the Metcalfs. Yesterday, I received a letter from Frisco ISD written and sent to the Office of the Attorney General from FISD. This comes after I narrowed my request 3 times, which brought the response from FISD down from 100,000 emails, insanity, to 5,200 emails, with costs reduced to just over 300. This amount was fundraised within an hour. That is quite crazy. According to Frisco ISD, on June 16, 2025, the district received correspondence, or a compelling interest letter, from the Collin County District Attorney's Office stating that the Collin County District Attorney's Office has a compelling interest in the non-disclosure of any records in the district's possession related to requests like mine or any request to the stabbing incident. But why? But why? The letter states that releasing these records would interfere with the investigation and anticipated litigation related to this pending case. That means that, from here on out, any request for records regarding the murder of Austin Metcalf will be denied. This also means that an indictment is coming very soon. Furthermore, many have asked me about the possibility that the Anthony family has moved from Texas to Louisiana. When Drew Anthony, Karmelo's father, posted about his family's move on Facebook, I immediately screenshotted his post for my records and asked the opinion of a good attorney friend. They stated that it is a bold decision to allow them to move out of state during a murder trial, but it's possible. Either Drew Anthony is lying about moving, or they received a judge's approval. However, according to public docket, there is no order approving a relocation. I've sent an inquiry to Collin County asking for any minute orders or approvals for relocation or travel for the Anthony family. As soon as I have a response, I will release it. I don't understand, like, why anyone would think they moved to Louisiana, though, right? Like, where is there any evidence pointing toward them moving out of state in the first place? right? Like, I just, that seems kind of silly to me. Like, where is this coming from even, right? It is very strange that a man who consistently messages and harasses me on a daily basis, accusing me of lying to get his family killed with my reporting, would post his family's move on a public platform. People who are afraid for their lives don't do this. That's true. And she's got a via OAG electronic filing, open records division, Frisco Independent School District. Replying to public information request from Sarah Fields to the Frisco Independent School District dated April 27th, 2025, with clarification received on May 14th, 2025. To whom it may concern, this letter is written on behalf of the Frisco Independent School District, or Frisco ISD, or the district, in response to a request for public information submitted on Sunday, April 27th, 2025, and therefore received by the district during regular business hours on Monday, April 28th, 2025, from Sarah Fields, Miss Fields, or requester. Due to a tragic incident that received national attention, the district has been receiving public information requests for emails between staff members that mention the students involved and or their parents by name, along with other requests for actual student record documents from these students' files. This is one of those requests for emails with a FERPA protected personally identifiable information redacted from those submitted materials, pursuant to directives contained in Open Records Decision 634. The district is seeking an Attorney General's opinion regarding Ms. Fields' request for the following information. The request. I'm requesting all emails to and from school staff that include the words all redacted. This is to cover dates from April 2nd, 2025 to present day that this ORR was submitted. Please provide copies of any records or of resignations or termination of any FISD staff members from April 2nd, 2025 to present day. And 3, please provide records of any NDS non-disclosures signed by staff or administration members since the date of April 2nd to present day. And then on the 14th, they said narrow keywords to all redacted, Dominique Alexander, NGAN, and Next Generation Action Network. A copy of Ms. Fields' written request is attached as Exhibit A. The request was submitted to the district on Sunday, April 27th, 2025. As a result, the district received the request on Monday, April 28th. Responsive records were released in response to Parts 2 and 3 of Ms. Fields' request. Regarding Part 1, the email search, the district sent 2 requests to narrow Ms. Fields' to Ms. Fields on May 10th and May 14th, due to the fact that the email search, as initially requested, pulled over 100,000 emails. Ms. Fields first requested the narrowing of the time frame, and the email search then pulled over 80,000. The district determined that the search term redacted was pulling every email to and from or naming anyone with redacted as a first or last name. So a second request to narrow and clarify was sent to Ms. Fields, see Exhibit A. Ms. Fields then responded to the district's second request to narrow and clarify on Wednesday, May 14th. The district sent Ms. Fields a cost estimate in accordance with 552.263 for the labor time estimated for locating and reviewing the responsive emails that were pulled in response to her final narrowed request. On June 5th, the department received Ms. Fields' payment. Per 552.263E, Ms. Fields' request is considered received on the date the government body receives the payment, according to interpretations by the Attorney General, and the district has 10 business days to respond to Ms. Fields' request. Therefore, Frisco ISD's request is timely, filed pursuant to Section 552.301B. On June 16th, the district received correspondence, i.e. a compelling interest letter, from the Collin County District Attorney's Office stating that the CCDAO has a compelling interest in the non-disclosure of any records in the district's possession relating to redacted, or to the stabbing incident that occurred at Kuykendall Stadium on or about April 2nd. The letter states that the release of these records would interfere with the investigation and anticipated litigation related to the pending case. Interesting. So the attorney's office interfered in the information request. Pursuant to the CCDAO's compelling interest letter and the district's own expectations, the district asserts that the records responsive to Ms. Fields' request are accepted from disclosure under the following exceptions to the Public Information Act, Texas Government Code sections, blah, 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 blah. The district will submit the information required by Section 552.301 within the required time frame. Interesting. And then there's a Drew Anthony post from 4 hours ago today. Well, it's probably not from today. It's probably whenever she took it. I don't know when this post went up. Moved to New Orleans, Louisiana. It could be throwing them off, right? This could be like a 4D chess move where they actually just moved like down the street from where they previously lived, but then they claimed publicly that they moved somewhere else. Wish you all nothing but the best. Nothing like the boot. I don't know what that means. Welcome back, nephew. Congrats. Coming to the reunion. You should come. Inbox me. Word. Pull up in the east. Congratulations. Ready for some jazz and Creole food. They can send all the threats they want. They bet not touch him. We will go out to Frisco and they will need the National Guard out there next. I don't think that's something you would want to brag about. Welcome home, family. Maybe now y'all can get the peace you deserve. Amen. You moved, bro? Why should this be public? Just asking for myself, or you must not know how many people are after them. That's so... Are you gonna send the same concern to the others who commented, just as I have, with the exact same questions? And not to mention his post reads, moved to New Orleans. You know, my bad, you were right. What? I don't understand. I don't understand, man. More comments back home. Welcome back to the boot, cousin. Oh, is that what New Orleans is called? I didn't know that. So glad to have you back. Glad you're back home. Congrats. Protect the baby at all costs. It's a murderer! What do you mean? Welcome home, family. No place like home. Okay. Minnesota assassin blames Tim Walz for his attack on state lawmakers. Bolter confirmed that he was the shooter at large in Minnesota involved in the two shootings. Vance Bolter, 57, the suspect in the assassination and attempted assassination of Minnesota state lawmakers, said that he blamed Governor Tim Walz for the shooting rampage. The outlet, citing multiple sources familiar with the investigation into Bolter and the shooting, said in a confession letter intended for FBI Director Kash Patel, Bolter confirmed that he was the shooter at large in Minnesota involved in the two shootings. Charging documents from police indicated that the handwritten note was from Dr. Vance Luther Bolter. He's a doctor? And that the letter was found in the Buick that he had purchased in the hours after shooting Minnesota Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were hospitalized, the outlet reported. The Bolter fatally shot Minnesota House Speaker Emirata Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark after shooting Hoffman and his wife. Bolter has been charged with murder as well as stalking by the Department of Justice in the case. He is also facing state charges of murder. An affidavit stated that evidence in the case indicates that Bolter extensively planned his stalking, murders, and attempted murders. There were around 45 names of lawmakers and others inside of a notebook, including the names of Hoffman as well as Hortman. However, Walz was not named in a typed copy of a hit list that Alpha News received. Bolter is accused of posing as a law enforcement officer to carry out the crimes and was dressed in a hyper-realistic mask when the shooting was carried out. A stack of flyers with no kings on them was also found in the car that he had used, leading to several of the anti-Trump protests to be canceled in Minnesota later that day. That's really interesting that he's blaming Tim Walz, and Tim Walz wasn't on the hit list. Was this supposed to be some sort of like, this is your fucking fault and you're gonna have to live with all this blood on your hands, Mr. Walz? Was it that kind of thing? Was that like the angle he was going for? This should be murder one and open and shut. It should be literal open and shut. Like there should be no fucking wiggle room. But I mean, you know, I hope he gets out on bail. If we're just letting people murder people and get out on bail, I hope this guy makes it, right? Equality and all that. That's definitely interesting. I hope we get more information coming out on this guy. I'm sure we'll get more information on this guy faster than we will Karmelo Anthony. For a man who planned this out so much, his body count was thankfully pathetically low. I said that when we first covered this. It was like, for them claiming he extensively planned this and like stalked his victims to guarantee they would be home at the time, the two houses he went to in between the first shooting and the one where he actually killed the people, thankfully those people weren't home. And if that female police officer was a bit more astute, a bit better at her job, maybe those other two people would not have been murdered after she encountered him. I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't have female police officers. This data Republican guy, again, I don't know who it is, so when I read the post, grain of salt and all that, but he's quote retweeting a post with this article. Rogue states Russia and Iran attempting to destroy MAGA movement with disinformation bot army. You know, that's really sad when a bot army sounds the exact same as people against MAGA. So it's realistic for people to believe the bot army. Girl, data Republican is a she. Oh, I never would have guessed. Everyone online is just a he until proven otherwise. Russia and Iran are targeting the Make America Great Again movement and trying to destabilize the right from within, according to a new report. Both rogue states are using tens of thousands of social media bots to amplify untrue voices and opinions masquerading as MAGA loyalists, to cause chaos and confusion and question US leadership. The bots are automated software applications that mimic human activity on social media. They are used to amplify real-life influencers who post untrue false flag narratives designed to discredit President Donald Trump and his conservative stalwarts. According to a bombshell new report from the Network Contagion Research Institute, a politically neutral nonprofit who studies extremism on the web. Now, until I read that this was from a politically neutral nonprofit, I was willing to be like, this sounds exactly like all the Russian disinformation campaign bullshit that was thrown around years and years ago. So like, just as I did not believe that there was a Russian disinformation campaign on the side of MAGA back then, I don't know if I want to believe how true this is, right? Maybe if it's a real politically neutral nonprofit reporting this shit, you know, maybe. If you talk to Republicans right now, more than 80% of them support the war against Iran. But if you go on Twitter, you get the sense that there is a civil war raging. Ew. No, I think most normal people do not want boots on the ground again. I think most normal people are saying no to war in the sandbox. This is exactly the purpose of the psychological operation, to destabilize people's perceptions of institutions that are supposed to protect us. The bots made it look like extreme posters have tons more support than they actually have, which helps to persuade other real-life viewers that what they're posting is legitimate. Oh, it sounds like one of my aunties, honestly. It sounds like their strategy. The bots use innocuous average names and have profiles which makes them appear as average Americans. NCRI says after domestic attacks, including the Uvalde school shooting, Matthew Crook's assassination on Donald Trump, and the murder of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. in May, it has noticed an alarming trend of a false flag reflex. What? We don't need another forever war, exactly. It's like the murder of the 2 Israeli embassy staffers. One of the posts that my aunties has been circulating recently for how I radicalize people is me asking how hard it is for people to not commit acts of domestic terrorism in reference to these 2 Israeli embassy staffers getting murdered, which is a real weird thing to try and paint me as a bad person. Guys, Kirsche is against the assassination of Israeli embassy staffers. Someone get this Nazi. The problem is that people want to read Trump as being pro-war when he uses strong language as a negotiating tool. Yeah, like, you can not like the strong language he uses, but like, it's fucking effective, man. You will always agree with Anakin Skywalker. Sand fucking sucks. Say what? Within minutes of initial reports, the events are recast as evidence of hidden conspiratorial plots obscuring the true motives and perpetrators. In the days following the crisis, Kremlin-affiliated propagandists and Iranian state-linked media are able to rapidly inject narratives that are taken up by MAGA imposter influencers, who then inject them into MAGA-branded spaces, or the report notes. Who? They even made sure to leave him alive and unharmed, and they made sure that they got a shot of him saying "Free Palestine." Guys, if you can't tell this is a false flag, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who this is, but why do they think that this guy is like a MAGA imposter influencer? The shooter that killed the Israeli embassy staff in Washington reportedly yelled "Free Palestine." Why would this sound false flaggy? Why would this sound false flaggy? It would be really false flaggy if he said "Free Palestine" and then it came out he was like a practicing devout Orthodox Jew, right? Like that would be fucking weird. Entire article is bullshit. Well, these guys who aren't MAGA use bots when arguing against war, so all anti-war posters are bot. Yeah, it's fucking weird. Noctis Draven, who is a regular consultant for Kremlin media, spread the false flag story about the murder of 2 Israeli staffers in an attempt to push a conspiracy theory that Israel was behind the deaths. This is just like 9/11. Someone here said, "This man is not Muslim. This man is not called Muhammad. This man is an Israeli agent who has just perpetrated a false flag event in Boulder, Colorado. It's all theater, period." There's no way people believe that. There's no way. There's no way that we have had decades of terror attacks, specifically from certain camps of people. And then when they do it specifically against Israelis in the middle of a war in the Middle East, even though they're taking their attacks to United States soil, you want us to somehow believe this is a false flag. That doesn't make any sense. Sometimes the simplest answer is the real answer. The group points to Draven Noctis, a real person and U.S. veteran who frequently contributes to Russian state media and has a potential reach of 2.4 million with more than 180,000 followers on X. It's so expensive in the US and Canada that even refugees can't understand how we make it, says Noctis. Well, if we stop taking in as many refugees, if we stop allowing illegal immigration, if we reduce all benefits for coming here illegally, and we kick up the mass deportations into high gear, get them out, things will start relaxing a bit, says Noctis, who sometimes reverses his first and last names online in a 2024 TikTok post while describing the US as a slave system designed to impoverish its own citizens. Well, when you look at a country like the United States, whose government seems to work in perpetuity for the benefit of foreign nationals and people invading the country illegally, rather than its actual American citizens, and American citizens are forced to not only foot the bills for themselves, but everybody who doesn't want to work and everybody who is coming here illegally, and we're the bad guys if we say we don't want to foot the bill anymore. No, the US does seem like it's designed as a slave system to impoverish its own citizens. Are you trying to get me to like Russian-backed media? What the fuck is this article? Blame the corpos, not entirely wrong, but you don't want to hear him say it. Yeah, that's how I feel. I was like, yeah, he's right about this one thing, but also he glows, so I don't want to say he's right about anything. We are free-range humans in an open-air prison of taxes and bullshit distractions, and we think it's completely normal. In an earlier post on Eurasia Daily, a Kremlin propaganda outlet, he is shown in military uniform urging Ukrainian soldiers to defect to Russia. What? The message is written in Cyrillic alphabet propaganda, which is then republished by bots. Would that even work on anyone? If you're fighting in the Ukrainian military, why would you defect to Russia? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make sense! I don't get it! The false flag narrative surrounding the murder of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in May, absurdly attempting to claim the man charged with the shooting was, in fact, working on behalf of Israel, was another case in point, the nonprofit said. Foreign-linked seeders, such as Noctis, inject crisis narratives within minutes of breaking news. Their content is then mass republished by clusters of inauthentic accounts, according to the NCRI report. And this is why, when I cover stuff that is like literal breaking news, I do try to remind people throughout me reporting on it that it's like, this is happening in real time. We're always getting new and updated information. So some of the stuff that is coming out that is being reported might be incorrect. And it's also why when names first come out, I try my best to not like, oh, we don't know who the shooter is. This person has reported a name, but we don't know if this is the right guy, right? I don't want to like put out names on my platform if we don't know quite yet. Domestic personalities with large but unstable followings, such as noted trolls like Jackson Hinkle, I don't know who that is, supply a veneer of grassroots legitimacy, completing an asset adjacency model in which fringe US influencers ride the same engagement farms that propel Kremlin messaging. Between May 1st and June 10th, NCRI recorded 675,000 posts on X referencing false flag and drawing nearly 4 million interactions, according to the report. Adding activity spiked in 2 sharp bursts, on May 24th, after the embassy shooting, and on June 3rd, after the firebombing of a Jewish demonstration in Boulder. That firebombing was already almost 3 fucking weeks ago? More than 3 weeks ago. Wait, no, 2.5 weeks. Holy shit! What is time, chat? Red Pill Media said, I am an American citizen, born and raised in America. I refuse to die for Israel. And someone replied, I am an American citizen born and raised in America, and they give information about him, and apparently he is in Karachi, Pakistan. So it's just a bunch of people doing like the Ian Miles Chong shit? False flag allegations occupy a privileged corner of Russian hybrid warfare doctrine, a ready-made, easily adaptable alibi that flips blame, muddies attribution, and buys time for diplomatic misdirection, the report says. For instance, a tweet from Red Pill Media, which identifies itself as exposing Zionist terrorism and has nearly 81,000 followers on its X account, claims to be based in the US. But another user recently revealed the account belongs to Abdul Abbas in Karachi, Pakistan. Working through firebrand right-wing social media influencers, Kremlin-affiliated propagandists also conducted a coordinated assault against Trump. In a combination of an artificial voice with a real voice, said an analyst with NCRI, it destroyed the Democratic Party, and now they're going after MAGA. How did they destroy the Democratic Party? I'd like to know that. The network is quick to jump on and twist almost any story in the news cycle and have recently trained their sights on President Trump. The network's goals extend beyond crisis exploitation. After leveraging the false flag frame to pose as MAGA loyalists, the same actors pivoted to accuse Donald Trump of pedophilia and to disseminate Iranian state leaks portraying the International Atomic Energy Agency as an Israeli proxy. What the heck? What the heck? And then the Data Republican, you guys said is a lady here, she responded to this article by saying, thread, fake MAGA, foreign ops, and the Nick Fuentes factor. This week on X has been chaotic, and every influencer I've talked to feels it. A new report dropped and is making serious claims that foreign propaganda accounts are masquerading as MAGA to hijack conservative spaces and even push people to turn on Trump himself. The report goes beyond analyzing bots and foreign actors. It names names. And the New York Post article buried the lead. It explicitly calls out Nick Fuentes and his network as central amplifiers. Well, that's interesting that they wouldn't have mentioned Nick Fuentes and his network as being part of a psyop in here. That's interesting. Why would they bury that lead? I feel like everyone's been calling Fuentes a fucking Fed for years now, though. Nick Fuentes is the third rail of MAGA X, and for good reason. To speak of him is to invite wrath and harassment. I could have left this volatile topic alone, and I know I would have been better off for it. Now, I know if you were critical of, like, Andrew Tate, you would get harassed. But did anybody really get harassed for criticizing Nick Fuentes? I've never seen anyone speak well of Nick Fuentes. I've only ever seen people calling him various slurs for gay and denying that he is any kind of brain activity at all. The Groypers come after you? I mean, yeah, but the Groypers came after me and I hadn't even said anything about Nick Fuentes, man. He has his little army. Didn't I get harassed for speaking poorly of the Groypers? I just called Synthetic Man's audience Groypers, man. And I mean, they... not really beating the allegations, at least a handful of them. If you mention him at all, you'll be brigaded. That's crazy. That's crazy, because, like, I just see people shitting on Fuentes, like, 24/7. So I just thought that, like, everyone thought Fuentes was a shitty Fed. But this Data Republican continues, but when she sees what Sarah's censored had endured, and the grace and courage she's shown, it's a reminder of 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. How can I possibly stay silent? It's time we break the taboo of calling out wolves in MAGA clothing. Even the ones the bots prop up. I read the entire report, and I'm going to walk you through what it really says, and what we need to watch for. Patience as I assemble this thread in real time. Sarah is Censored is a pregnant independent journalist who was the last major influencer to speak ill of Nick Fuentes. Her life has been made a hell as a result. This is a small sampling of the harassment she has received.
Probably listening, that dumb bitch.
Yeah, Sarah, if you're listening, listen to this. I'm gonna find you wherever in the country you could go. You could cross the border into Mexico. I will find you and I'll rape you like a bitch in Guadalajara. Okay? No matter where you go, I will find you. Okay? I can put my nose down and fucking figure out where it was you were the last 20 hours because your feet probably smell like shit. I will find you and you'll be raped like shit.
That's kind of unhinged, man.
You will be raped. You will be raped and you will be coked up and nobody will find your body, okay? Because it will be in a bin, probably separated by 5-mile trash locations, dumpsters, whatever you want to call them.
Man, this guy is even more creative than some of the threats I got. He's thought a lot about this. That's dangerous. Why can't this guy get arrested? I feel like this is way more of a legitimate threat. Like, he should be fucking looked into. Like, that's crazy. You can't just go online and say shit that in depth and somehow it's perfectly fine. There's no way.
In Mexico, deep Mexico. I'm talking desert Mexico. I'm not talking...
I'm talking they don't even know the word English,
I'm
Mexico.
You will be gone forever. You will be a lifetime, a lifeline, you know, whatever, ABC at night story, okay, for years. They will never find your killer, and they will know... Well,
I mean, clearly they will. You're literally admitting you want to do it right here.
If anyone knows the killer, it's me and you. And when I'm looking at you in your last moments, you're looking at me in the eyes, and you're begging for your life. That will be the ultimate moment of satisfaction when I finally get to murder you. And I will send photos to your ex-dead husband, whatever. Okay? You are a monster. So.
All that because she said shit about Nick Fuentes? That's crazy, bro. Nick Fuentes won't fuck you, whoever you are. And I hope the feds show up at this guy's house. What the fuck? That is insane. Another sampling, the screenshots were so vulgar, I could not post them all. I share them to show what it means to cross Nick Fuentes, and that if we are to clean our own house, we must be prepared to confront a great evil.
Have you in a state of absolute fear and trepidation of the consequences of your actions, which have been to smear my leader's name, Nicholas J. Fuentes, for whom which I will kill, rape, and die. You made a nasty comment, so don't turn around, make yourself the victim when it was you who started this, and it will be me who ends it.
Brother, this is like a cult. This is creepy, man. His leader? Yeah, the fucking my leader shit? That's creepy. That is creepy. And also, this man is incredibly gay. Imagine being like, I will kill, rape, and die for my content creator. For my gay little Mexican guy. He's going to a video game called Prison? Yeah, he fucking better. That's insane. Like, you can't... This is the kind of, like, call to action, like, violence shit that I talk about, right? This is the stuff that should absolutely, like, get you taken down. You can't go out and, like, tell people you're going to dismember them and rape them in such depth that this guy did. Like, that is insane. That is insane. We've been asleep at the wheel for far too long. Our cultural standards have fallen by the wayside and our kids have suffered the consequences. Sarah Field said, absolutely. And someone responded, I am right outside your house with a weapon. Again, an insane thing to say. And I mean, he's probably not. But also, I'm not going to trust someone named Rape Girls Daily who is threatening me on Twitter. Right? Like, I'm gonna fucking report that shit, right? Someone just posted Rape Sarah Fields because they're fucking crazy and their name is Rape Is Not Real. Is that the fucking Black Bear character from Spyro? Mm-hmm. What the fuck? What the fuck? These guys are spineless? I mean, yeah. They probably wouldn't actually do anything because they're cowards who can only belittle women online. But still, they are scary and direct threats. When your enemies are spiral villains. The same person said, Soak Kai Bomb Sarah Stock Rape? Is that... Did this guy drop too much acid? Is that even a coherent sentence? Data Republican posts this clip and says, Nick Fuentes literally had his followers swear to kill, rape, and die for him.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes. Raise your right hand. All right.
It just repeats a second time for some reason. Are these Discord fucking screenshots, man? That's crazy. That's crazy. And also, why would you do that? Like, if you saw this and you thought it was funny and you wanted to make a joke off of it, you would do the, like, I will bake cookies, put on an apron while naked, and be the cabana boy for Kirsche, right? Like, you know, you make it into something funny. If you found it and you were like, oh, this is so insane, let's make a joke out of it. But like, I can't even give that benefit of the doubt because, like, he just repeats it. He just repeats it one for one, man. I will bake cookies, wear the apron while naked, and be the cabana boy for Kirsche. This is my call to radicalization. Get fit. Become the himbo for women. Make babies. Are you asking nicely? Maybe it's dark humor? Not when people are legitimately... Not when people are legitimately saying that they will kill, rape, and die for him. Like, that's... I don't think that's a joke. Data Republican said, now moving on to the actual report, it's published by Network Contagion Research Institute, an NGO with opaque funding and less than transparent motives. It has impressive data science, but the way it presents itself is often biased. Okay, that's interesting because in the article it did say that they were a non-political organization. They say false flags and fake MAGA, how foreign and inauthentic networks use fake speech to destabilize the right from within. Joe Finkelstein. Man, you couldn't make up a more stereotypical person if you tried. Holy shit. Joel Finkelstein is a postdoctoral fellow at a Madison program for ideas and institutions at a Princeton University, and the director of Network Contagion Research Institute, which deploys machine learning tools to expose the growing tide of hate and extremism on social media. A former research fellow at the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism, Joel is a graduate of Princeton University, where his award-winning doctoral work focused on the psychology and neuroscience of addiction and social behavior. Joel speaks to media, policymakers, advocacy groups, and investigators to help turn tools for social science into tools for social justice. His work on hate and social media has appeared on The Washington Post, The Wall Street Journal, and other media outlets. Data Republican said it was founded by Joel Finkelstein, and the NCRI itself had been used to suppress disinformation and promote pro-government narratives. I say this because I want to acknowledge the motives behind this report. That being said, it does a reasonable job of keeping, for example, in dissecting the usage of Christ as King. They explicitly greenlit Jack Posobiec, something many with an agenda failed to do. I don't understand what that means. It does a reasonable job of keeping, for example, in dissecting the usage of Christ as King, they explicitly greenlit Jack Posobiec, something many with an agenda failed to do. Are they saying that, like, Jack Posobiec is a plant? Is that what because that's what it sounds like she's saying. Jack Posobiec is legit Christian saying Christ is king, not a Fuentes LARPer doing it to spite the small. I see. So why even pay attention to the report? She says she was able to independently verify information from within it. Interest over time, Google Trend Index for the query false flag from May 31st, 2020 to June 3rd, 2025. There's Ukraine here in 2021, Uvalde, Ukraine, 10-7, Crocus, Russia, I don't know what that is, Trump assassination, Pahalgam, DC, I don't know what Pahalgam is. She says, the gist of the report, foreign state actors and bots amplify a handful of X accounts making controversial posts, the foremost among them being Nick Fuentes and his followers. An example is the 21 May killings of the Israel embassy staffers. Nick Fuentes, false flag right on schedule, there goes free speech and diplomacy, it's got 2.4 million views, 48,000 likes. Jake Shields, I recognize that name, said false flag, 277.4 thousand views, 10k likes. Jackson Hinkle, I have no idea who that is. The Israeli embassy workers were shot by a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL. It is common knowledge that PSL is filled with federal agents. This assassination was a false flag. Why would he assume that the Party for Socialism is filled with federal agents? Projecting much. Data Republican continues. We now know that Elias Rodriguez, the killer, was a member of the PSL, despite their denials. We also know that PSL is backed by Neville Singham, who is under congressional investigation for acting on behalf of the CCP. Foreign state actors certainly would want to keep this information hidden and amplify the false flag narrative. Elias Rodriguez from the Party for Socialism and Liberation argued that the murder of Laquan McDonald and the Chicago bid for an Amazon headquarters are not two separate issues, but rather they are both connected. What? What? Number of daily X posts containing the term false flag from May 1st to June 10th. And in results over time, there's a huge spike here in May. And Data Republican said, indeed, this is what happened. Nick Fuentes' false flag post got 48,000 likes, and NCRI noted the bot like 100 responses. Now, caveat, X's comment hiding system is odd, and I was only able to view a few dozen comments or so out of the 1.2k comments he got. So I wasn't able to independently verify that part. I think more than comments disappearing, I hate the quote retweet system. Because it'll say that there's like 10 quote retweets on a post and then you click on it and you can only see 2. Or it'll be like, oh, there's 30 quote retweets, and you click on it and you can only see like 12 or so. And it's like, well, where the fuck are the rest of them? Brother, if there's gonna be a quote retweet, I should be able to fucking see it. Data Republican continues, however, Sarah is Censored has commented many times that she noticed the same phenomenon, and others have noticed it as well. Nick Fuentes' army is artificially boosted in some part, and it seems reasonable that foreign actors invested in splintering the MAGA coalition is the reason why. And the screenshot says, Nick Fuentes' purchasing likes, there's absolutely no way that in 60 seconds a reply receives 189 views and 169 likes. Shut it, bitch. It's unreal and sickening that anyone who calls themselves a Christian supports this waste of a man. I mean, yeah, true. I can't disagree with her. And Sarah responded with over 7K likes in less than 10 minutes when at the time, my post had less views. I watched it happen. Not natural in the slightest. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that when I've been being attacked recently, where, like, my post will have almost as many views as one of the replies to the post, but the reply is from someone with a much smaller account and much smaller reach. And it's like, how are you getting so many views on this? Like, something is fishy here. Data Republican continues, note the timestamp. The pattern typically is Nick Fuentes zeets out something controversial and divisive of MAGA, such as Trump being implicated in the Epstein files, and the alleged bad actors amplify and follow. This is Megatron saying, breaking, Trump imposes sanctions on judges of International Criminal Court because they demand the arrest of Netanyahu. And Noctis quote retweeted, I guess we know what they have on Trump makes sense as to his slavery to Israel. Donald Trump said, I gave Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words, just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. Blah, blah, blah. Jake Shields quote retweeted and said, Trump didn't deny being in the Epstein files. Kash Patel didn't deny that Trump was in the Epstein files. This sounds exactly how someone would talk if they were in the Epstein files. Man, if Trump was implicated in the Epstein files, we would have had that information fucking ages ago. The Democrats have been wanting to nail this guy on a cross for how fucking long? And it's not like he has exactly that many allies in his own party. So if there was any real dirt on this guy, it absolutely would have fucking come out by now. That's the thing that they, I guess, hope to fool people with. Jake's brain took too much damage? I guess so. Jake is the only name I, like, recognize in here, even. Nick Fuentes said, there is zero doubt in my mind that Trump is named in the Epstein files. Elon is telling the truth. I was like, did Elon say that out loud because, like, he just had a little autistic fit and it was just everywhere on Twitter and so he said it? Because, like, otherwise you would have to, like, implicate Elon in some sort of weird deep state plot here. The first Epstein victim claimed she was sexually abused by President Donald Trump when she was just 14 years old. That's not what she said, though. That's not what she said. It is endlessly amusing that every time they try to get Trump on something, they reveal themselves to be far, far worse. It seems like my life is also destined to go similarly. Epstein files on Trump, if they had existed, would have been out in 2015, the day he announced. True. Elon apologized afterwards. Yeah, but I mean, he still did a little bit of reputational damage. Of course, he's in the files. He has spoken about Epstein and was one of the first to push for his investigation. Anyone involved in information finding would also be in the files. Well, it's also just like, he was involved with Epstein earlier, and then once Epstein started bringing, like, underage girls to Mar-a-Lago, Trump was like, yeah, nah, you're kind of fucking weird. I'm actually gonna ban you from all of my properties. You would have had to believe Elon would have found out that Trump was a chomo and then left his kid with Trump multiple times. Also fair and true. And then, what is Trump hiding? Another Jackson Hinkle tweet here. Data Republican continues, I want to emphasize that this report is biased in naming certain Zeets as actors of foreign interests. For example, it accuses Draven Noctis of pushing pro-Kremlin narratives, but that does not mean Draven Noctis is acting on the behalf of Russia. However, others like Jackson Hinkle do seem to be genuine actors of the Russian state. He regularly gives interviews to pro-Russia outlets and moved to Moscow. American anti-Israel, pro-Kremlin activist and influencer Jackson Hinkle attends funeral of Hezbollah leader, gives studio interviews to U.S. designated terrorist Hezbollah-owned Al-Manar TV and Iran's Channel 3, and talks to Lebanon's Mayadeen TV, says he's been living in Moscow for 5 months for fear of arrest in the U.S. What the fuck? Who the fuck are these people? Oh my god, it's Memory TV! Oh my god, I know them from the memes of beating your wife! Cyabra, a software suite aimed to detect bots, detected that 24% of accounts pushing the false flag narrative after May 21st were bots. As depicted in Figure 9, Fuentes' May 21st post, False Flag, right on schedule, clocked 2.4 million views, becoming one of the most engaged tweets in the entire dataset. However, the real story lay in the replies. Anomalous engagement patterns emerged almost immediately. Replies were saturated with emoji wall spam, identical quote tweets, and bot-like praise loops. The hallmarks of South Asian spam farm activity. Fucking South Asians called out? A forensic sweep of 1,000 plus accounts posting false flag revealed that 24% were inauthentic. That's a lot. Cybara analysis of accounts using the term false flag determining that nearly a quarter of them were inauthentic posts. Like, how do you fish out and find these bots and ban them before they become an issue? And how do you prevent the bots from even becoming populated in the first place, right? Do not redeem. 24% is low if you're claiming something is a fake movement. Yeah, also a good point. That's a low percent if they're claiming that the majority of the engagement was from bots. They work with Activision, Amazon, American Express, Bank of America, Barclay, Disney, First Republican Bank, Zara, Ticketmaster, Toyota. Per the report, Megatron Ron, another X account implicated as a foreign actor, has borrowed from Iran state media reporting word for word as recently as 12th of June. This is Press TV saying documents released by Iran show that IAEA chief Grossi has been completely coordinated with Israel and has been carrying out Israel's orders. Iran recently managed to obtain a wealth of secret documents from the Israeli regime. Qasem Soleimani army said Iran has released documents revealing the chief, blah, 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 same thing. This is another one. Breaking from Megatron, Noctis Draven, Iran leaks. So, I guess what they're claiming with this is like, well, Noctis Draven isn't a bot account. He retweets things. Well, this is retweeting Megatron. So they just incestuously quote retweet each other, and they all have a bunch of bots that interact with the post, making it appear more popular. Data Republican said, and I'll stop here. You can read the report for yourself. It isn't perfect, but it raises serious, well-documented concerns. Circumstantial evidence points to foreign actors using the Groypers as a vehicle to splinter the MAGA movement. God bless and stay frosty. I mean, I'm sure there are people botting their tweets, right? But I don't know if that's some big government conspiracy. I feel like it's probably just retards wanting more eyes on their retarded takes. Again, I have been the victim of a libel campaign for months now. And there are definitely people who bot their tweets to get more views and get more interactions on it. And it's pretty obvious when it becomes a botted tweet. But that doesn't mean there's like some grand conspiracy of people botting these tweets to splinter an entire movement. It's just retards being retards, man. Fuentes was never MAGA. He was all in on Bush please clap before Trump was in. It's just an ADL report taking shots at accounts they don't like. Israel and Data Republican is just taking a hit at Fuentes because they don't like him. Yeah, but I feel like you can take hits at people you don't like without having to dabble in conspiracy. I mean, like, yeah, would it be interesting if there was one? Sure. But 24%? That shows that there's a lot of fucking retards, and some of those retards will buy bots. I would very much just like bots to be dealt with in general. I don't like people botting tweets on Twitter. I don't like people botting viewers or subscribers on like Twitch or YouTube or anything. I think any kind of botting is just very bad. It's bad all around. It's bad for the creators who use it because eventually they're going to get caught and hopefully they do suffer consequences. It's bad for all other streamers because those people using bots are artificially inflating themselves. And it kind of deteriorates the hard work that other people have to do. And it's like, it makes sense that there would be government interests in trying to push certain things on Twitter as far as like trying to craft a narrative. Like, I'm sure that fucking happens. But I'm just not seeing it with this in particular. Let's see, I wanted to watch this clipoo, so let's pull this fucking thing up here.
Because I know that I have a visceral reaction when I see videos that seem to run counter to my views. And I believe that everybody or most people have that feeling, and you try and fight against it. And
Why
go,
would
no,
you?
no,
It shouldn't be
I'm going
visceral.
to watch this thing that Gary Lineker's just put out about Israel or whatever. Because my immediate reaction is my head wants to dismiss it before I've even watched it. Because I think this guy's an ideologue, he's on the other tribe.
That's kind of weird.
So all the things that, and I agree with everything you've said, but they must also be going, gosh, these people on the right, you know, when they sit down and actually, because most of them just go, they're all psychopathic Nazis, they think we are. But if they really think about it, they go, why is it that they're not seeing the truth that we're seeing? So there must be another side to this story that you and I are just shielded from.
I'm afraid there's not. And I have a lot of experience talking to the left on this, debating them, but also I always make every effort to understand the other side. And often I naturally take the devil's advocate position. So if someone's arguing my point, I quite often end up taking the other side. I don't know why. It's just a sort of quirk that I have. And actually, I did a paper, a chapter in it.
I think doing devil's advocate, like exercises can be fun, but someone is an annoying piece of shit that I never want to speak to if all they do is devil's advocate. If any time I try having a conversation with you, you always go the devil's advocate route, I'm just gonna write you off as like some fucking retard that is just not worth the effort of talking to.
One of our books on reforming the education system as one way to try to get rid of woke and one way to actually increase respect for free speech. One of the things I advocated for students to do in primary and secondary school is to have, you know, every couple of years force all students to debate an issue from the opposite side they would normally do.
That would actually be really
they're forced
helpful.
to consider the validity of other points
Yes.
and express them. Now, one of the
That would
things
be a
I
very good
always
thing to
do in podcasts and interviews and debates and so forth is I try to avoid doing what many people on the left and the right do, and that's talk theoretically and try to essentially talk about emotions and feelings. And this is why I always try to stick to the facts, because I still think the facts are undeniable. I present the facts, you draw your conclusion. I think it's quite hard to draw any other conclusion than the one that I think most of our viewers understand. And as I said, as with my cousin, when she saw the facts, she couldn't deny them, because this wasn't my view, my opinion. This was the clear facts. And as I said, you challenge somebody, for
Get
example,
on my fucking
to
fork,
explain
holy
how
shit.
diversity has actually benefited.
Sorry, I've been trying to get this one piece of chicken for like a solid minute, and I just can't fork it.
And I had one person talk about the restaurants, but I was like, well, yes, they all added, we've got the recipes now, we don't need them any longer.
I know where you got that from.
What?
Mr. Bean.
Yeah, so that was not the 9 o'clock news, I think, yes.
Now that we have the recipes.
And then the other one, of course, is the slavery and reparations. And I say, well, you want reparations for slavery? You living in America, living in Britain, living in the Caribbean. In what way has your life been hurt by slavery? How have you actually been disadvantaged by that? You're living in a country which has a life expectancy far longer than in West Africa. Your income is 10 times higher than in West Africa. Explain to me. And they never can.
Is this guy making the argument that it was a good thing that slaves were brought here because now as a descendant of the slave, they didn't have to live through the torture that the slaves did, but they get all of the benefits of living in a first world society and don't have to deal with the disparaging differences that they would have to deal with if their ancestors were never brought over here? That is a dangerous position to take. This man is living dangerously.
You'd have to take money from the black families who kept slaves as well.
True.
Well, exactly. And you'd also have, if there were Jamaicans living here, they'd be paying reparations through taxes to people in Trinidad. Makes no sense at all. And of course, there were only a few thousand slave owners. The majority of Brits descend from people who lived lives of abject poverty akin to serfdom in the first place. So why should they pay? But you are a victim of slavery. In what way? And suddenly, all of their arguments go, because it's all based upon emotion and fluff. I deal in facts, and I think that's the only way you can hopefully bring over people on.
Not saying it's a good thing then, but that they're better now. No. I completely understand he's saying, like, slavery bad, everything that happened during slavery bad. But now you, as a descendant of a slave, you live a much better life than those people back in Africa. Like, that is the point that he's making. As I see the point that he's making, but I feel like that's a very dangerous point to make, because I feel like everyone would call him a racist for pointing that out. Yeah, now, sometimes good things can come out of bad things. Yeah, sometimes good things can come out of bad things. Any reparations that people want from USA slavery built the nation of Liberia for those slaves they wanted to return, but didn't want to return to the tribes that sold them as slaves originally, which, again, makes perfect fucking sense, right? You're like, I don't want to be in this foreign country. I want to return to my motherland, but I don't want to return to the tribes that sold me to the people over here. That is also very logical.
on the left who aren't so radicalized, right? That's what I want to try to bring, people who are still sitting on the fence or on the left but are reasonable and logical. You're never going to convert the complete extremists.
No. Well, even when you did so with your cousin, who I imagine was not the fact that she watched it at all, she must be quite open-minded. The fact is, you're a family member, a loved one. It's much easier to do it that way. It's like they need a friend. It's a fashion thing, and a friend of theirs has to say, like, yeah, I might vote for reform, and they might then be a bit shocked and then maybe watch something a few months later.
And be respectful. You know, what happened to decent... It's like old debates where you would shake hands after having a debate. And that now, even that is becoming... I've been at a couple of university debates where people have refused to shake my hand afterwards, and you just think, gosh, have we gone to the stage now where just sharing opinions now and viewpoints is a cause for cancellation?
Well, they think, if they genuinely think you're a Nazi...
Yeah.
Well, then you don't... I get, they're not right, but that's what they think, isn't it?
There's this visceral anger on the left. I mean, you see, you've never held someone say Labour scum, right? Or killer Labour MP, as we just had from this kneecap organisation. Yeah. Told on these dating apps now, it says no Tories, right? I don't think anyone's probably said no Labour or no Lib Dems.
I suppose it's...
Well, in America, they do that. There's a lot of dating profiles. I'm a woman, so I only date men. As a heterosexual, I know we're a dying breed. I only date men, but there are unironically men who put in their profile no Republicans or no MAGA. And I'm just like, well, thank you. I never wanted to make it like that, I guess, on the nose. So like in my dating profiles, I would make jokes. Like someone would be like, one of the like dating questions on the profile would be like, what's your favorite pastime or some shit? And I'd be like, throwing communists from helicopters. Like, make it a joke. Make it a joke, because that will either get communists to match with you and yell at you and say that you deserve to be dragged through the streets on a noose and then strung up in a tree, because communists love women unless it's women that are against them. Or they just won't match with you at all,
It's because traditionally the right, the left think of the right, that the right are evil, and the right think the left are stupid. So we want to talk and go, come on, guys, let me explain this to you. And they want to go, no, you're evil.
Well, as the old adage says, if you're not a liberal at 25, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative at 35, you have no brain.
Yeah, this is the thing. Bloody hell. Well, and what is Keir Starmer? I mean this almost in an existential sense. What the hell?
Apparently Keir Starmer's a Nazi because he acknowledged that the government was ushering in a bunch of unfettered immigration, thus changing the culture and the demographics of the country. So apparently he's a Nazi.
Is it sort of a robot, a kind of a how do you say that word, apparatchik? Or
apparatchik.
Apparatchik. He just seems as blank slate kind of thing.
Well, it's clear he's clearly not a person with any political acumen or instinct. I mean, it's been nothing but calamity after calamity.
91% watching heretics clips.
What the fuck is this embedded video that just popped up? My evil trans dad was free to move next door to me. What the fuck? But also, before I get distracted, Eskil, thank you. Are they doing you a favor by showing who is unhinged or not? I think it's very... Like, I'll call people retards for sure, but I think it's ill-advised to assume that all of the, like, progressive people are just dumb. Because if you give them the excuse of just being dumb, you rule out the malicious actors. And then you're more susceptible to being attacked because you assume that your enemy is far less intelligent than they actually are. Like, it's fun to call people retards for sure, but don't underestimate your enemy's intelligence. Telegram founder Pavel Durov to split 17 billion fortune among 6 kids and 100 sperm donor babies. Pavel Durov said he wants to leave his nearly 20 billion fortune to 100 children that he's fathered through sperm donations. The eccentric tech founder has a history of tangling with the Kremlin over free speech and was charged by French officials last year for allegedly allowing sex abuse and drug trafficking crimes to run rampant on his encrypted messaging app. He has denied those charges. Well, there's a reason I have such a poor view of fucking Telegram. So... the billionaire has written a will that splits his 17.1 billion fortune, according to Forbes, among his 6 children with 3 partners, as well as his 100 kids across 12 countries he fathered through sperm donation stretching back 15 years. Durov told France's Le Point magazine on Thursday, that's a lot of fucking kids. That's a lot of fucking kids. That's crazy. I want to specify that I make no difference between my children. There are those who are conceived naturally and those who come from my sperm donations, he told LaPointe. They are all my children and will all have the same rights. I don't want them to tear each other apart after my death. That's actually like a really nice sentiment. Right? I mean, especially considering how many boomers are like, I need to spend my money before I die, so my inheritance is basically nothing, because fuck them kids. This is like a nice sentiment to hear. I feel like maybe his kids that he raised personally might feel a little bit of, not resentment, but like a little bit of like, hey, you didn't actually participate as a father in the lives of any of those other kids, so why are you giving them anything? Or maybe it's like a guilt thing. I don't know. But I still think it's a pretty cool thing for him to do. Durov, 40, says he does not want his children to have access to his fortune for 30 years. I want them to live like normal people, to build themselves up alone, to learn to trust themselves, to be able to create, not to be dependent on a bank account. This is also a very good thing to instill in your children, especially if you can literally give them everything they could ever ask for. This is a based way to ensure your children don't grow up as like spoiled brats. 30 years no access means they aren't going to be as reliant. I mean, there probably are some who will be like, well, I can just kind of scrape by doing whatever until I get my big payout 30 years from now. But like, what a waste of a life that would be, you know? I feel like if I had this like 30 years out massive fucking payday waiting for me, I would want to do as much as I can before I get to that point. This is like Sting. He told his kids a long time ago that he's not leaving anything to them. See, that's kind of grotesque. Like, you build up a life and you build up wealth in the hopes that you can give your children a better life than you. But without doing what this Durov guy is doing, by like wanting them to be normal, to build themselves up without the use of his fortune, without instilling this kind of value in them, they could turn out to just be like degenerate trust fund kids. I mean, you see some people who have, you know, raised in rich families, have never wanted for anything, and they still turn out decent. But I think starting with this value is a good way to go. I think this is a good thing. Durov faces accusations from the mother of 3 of his children that he withheld financial support, led a secret double life, and struck their then 3-year-old son so hard it sent him across the room, according to 2 criminal complaints filed in 2023 and 2024. Well, how much, like, if he did that, yeah, bad. He doesn't seem like the guy that would be withholding financial support, but like, I could definitely believe the leading of a secret double life considering he's a rich guy. But like, they filed complaints, but where did the complaints go? Did we have any resolution? If he did this, then yeah, that's shit. Don't do that. He has a somewhat bizarre social media presence, posting a photo of himself shirtless in a barn with baby goats earlier this year to wish Telegram users a happy Easter. That is kind of goofy, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just goofy. Who cares if he wants to be goofy? I mean, like, is he gonna fuck them goats? It looks like he might. Years earlier, in a 2017 Instagram post that went viral, he mocked Russian President Vladimir Putin for practically the same thing, calling on users to post photos of themselves bare-chested in the Putin shirtless challenge. Well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Kate, thank you for the 25. They made a Netflix documentary about a man that has fathered 1,000 kids in current year. Absolute degeneracy. The guy with 1,000+ kids is Dutch, and the situation got so bad that lawmakers have attempted to put restrictions on how many kids you can sire to prevent future inbreeding. Imagine leaving so many single mothers that your country has to institute laws around how many children you're able to have. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Durov had been the target of Russian state blacklisting after he refused to shut down activists on VKontakte, a platform he created and known as the Russian version of Facebook. Oh, I've seen that! Including a group led by the late opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Durov reportedly fled the country after he was involved in a traffic accident that left a police officer slightly injured. Around the same time, a private equity firm linked to the Kremlin bought a hefty stake in VK and pushed out the founding partners who backed Durov, according to the Moscow Times. In March, Durov said he had returned to his home in Dubai after Paris officials had arrested him over the summer and banned him from leaving the country. He's like, banned from leaving the country? Time to leave the country and go to Dubai. What the fuck? His encrypted messaging app Telegram, which boasts more than 1 billion active users, has become an indispensable communication tool during the Russia-Ukraine war. Government officials have used the app to send out air raid warnings, and citizens have documented war horrors firsthand. But the app has come under fire for also allowing extremist groups like the Islamic State, white nationalists, and conspiracy theorists to use the platform. Can we just take a second and say how disingenuous it is to put conspiracy theorists in the same group as the Islamic State and white nationalists? Internet Zen Master, thank you. Over 1,000 children. Yeah, a literal Genghis Khan moment, dude. There's a Trump mobile. All American performance, everyday price, $47.45 a month, unlimited talk, text, and data. Free SIM kit and free shipping. You can bring your own phone if you desire. No contract, cancel anytime. International calling to 100 destinations, no credit check. This feels highly suspicious. Same coverage as the 3 nationwide phone service carriers. Easily switch your SIM card to Trump Mobile using your own device. Fed Mobile! Yeah, if the phone lets me call Trump directly, maybe. I was like, is this an AI photo? This doesn't look like a real person. It looks very unnerving. Why choose Trump Mobile? Unlimited voice and text in North America, roadside assistance provided by Drive America, device protection, international calling to 100 destinations, telehealth services, including virtual medical care, easy ordering and delivery for prescription medications. Well, so it's like the Final Fantasy XIV thing where you could order Domino's, but my Trump phone can order my pain meds. $500 is pretty darn good of a deal. Keep your phone, switch with ease, available for pre-order now. I don't know, man. I don't trust this. I don't trust this. Who even set this up? Trump and all associated designs and trademarks of DTTM Operations LLC Trump Mobile. Its products and services are not designed, developed, manufactured, distributed, or sold by the Trump Organization or any of their respective affiliates or principals. T1 Mobile LLC uses the Trump name and trademark pursuant to the terms of a limited license agreement, which may be terminated or revoked according to its terms. Device protection, roadside assistance, telehealth, and pharmacy benefits, and all related products and services are offered, administered, and provided solely by independent third-party providers. Trump Mobile does not own, operate, or control these services and is not responsible for their availability, performance, or terms of use. All such services are subject to the applicable terms, conditions, and privacy policies of the respective third-party providers, which will be made available by those providers. I don't know, $50 a month, oh my. Bo Boob, thank you, Kirsche, you gotta get the phone. You're Trump's top guy, what are you gonna do? I just like, this feels really unofficial. Trump Mobile delivers premium wireless service for simplicity, transparency, reliability. Our mission is to give you full control over your wireless experience with no hidden fees, no confusing contracts, and a network you can trust. Built for people who accept or expect more. Why choose Trump Mobile? Transparent pricing, reliable nationwide coverage, bring your own device, live customer support, 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central. Ha! Hell, eSIM ready, fast and easy activation. We're here to make wireless service work for you, not the other way around. That means no hidden fees, no confusing plans, and no overseas runarounds. Just fast, reliable coverage backed by responsive support and clear upfront pricing. With Trump Mobile, what you see is what you get every time. What's worse, this is an official Fed plot or it's unofficial and a scam. I have no idea. They have a Twitter? It's following one person. Is it Trump? No, it's Fox News. What? How are you Trump Mobile and you're not even following Trump? Come the fuck on! Need help with your Trump Mobile service? Our US-based customer support center will be open this Saturday. New wireless for a new day. Like this just feels like a scam, man. It just feels like, and again, since they do have, like on the bottom of the screen, these are Trump and all associated designs are trademark of the DTTM Operations LLC. Trump Mobile and its products and services are not designed, manufactured, or distributed or sold by the Trump Organization. So it's not an official Trump Organization item. It's like, who made this? Who is doing this? Doesn't even follow Foxu News. Fake. FAQ. What is Trump Mobile? How do I check if my phone is compatible? How do I contact customer support? I don't know. This is fishy to me. This is fishy to me, chat. It's trying to not look bad. The Suns have already been promoting it. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't know. Maybe my mind can be changed, but it feels really fishy to me. Feels really fishy. Feels like a lot of the Trump watches and Trump knives that are advertised on the radio and say they aren't affiliated with Trump at the end of the ad. Yeah, exactly. It feels exactly like that. Like trying to profit off of his notoriety and his brand name without actually being endorsed by him. But like, if his kids are promoting it, maybe it does have something to do with him? I have no idea. I have no idea.